All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome to an episode of Ramblings of a Madman. I'm your host, Aaron, aka Insanefreak. Today we've got a pretty special guest with us. Is he work for a skincare company or is he in a band? Please welcome the bassist of Makari, John Tomasso. How are you doing, John?
I'm doing good, man. I'm glad to be here. How you doing?
Pretty good. So I always do research before I have guests on. I pretty much listen to everyone's band that I have on here, but I was like, let me learn some more about Makari. And the first thing that came up was some skincare product, and I had no idea that there was a skincare product named Makari or company. I just thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, when we picked the name, we didn't know that either. It took a couple years, and then finally I don't know if somebody messaged us or one of the members happened across it. We're like, oh my God, everything that pops up when you search our band is this skincare company that came out of nowhere.
I mean, you guys should get sponsored because you do have really good skin. Watching your videos, all you guys look great.
Yeah,
uh,
we got to see if we can do like a collab,
another funny thing when I had Kevin from Pulses on here last week, and when I try to search Pulses up, it comes up with legumes, like some kind of bean. I always think it's funny to see what
Huh.
comes up when you search for a band that's not actually the band.
That's really funny. I'll have to start doing that. Start looking into all different bands and see what all comes up.
Right? So why don't you tell us what you do and tell us a little bit about your band?
Okay, I play bass and I sing harmonies in Makari. We're an alternative rock band from technically Orlando, Florida. Our singer, however, lives in Maryland. Andy Sizik. Sure, you've caught his YouTubings and all sorts of stuff. He's been out there for quite a long time.
Yeah, he does a lot of
And
covers, I believe.
yes, does a lot of covers, and I don't know how that boy finds the time, but he is in, I just off the top of my head, four projects
Oh my
that are,
gosh.
and I mean, you're not including features, and he's a hard working guy. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, that's incredible. Shout out to Andy. You're probably not listening
Yes,
to
no,
this
no.
because you're too busy, but
I'll make him listen to it later.
awesome. So before you guys were Makari, I was reading up about it. Weren't you guys like another band, and then everybody joined and you became Makari because your music direction went different or something like that?
Yeah, me and the other instrumentalists all went to high school. So we've known each other 12 years. They're a couple years older than me, but so we never really played together in high school. The three of them did, but I was never really around. So it was the summer after my freshman year at college. A mutual friend of mine and Eric Stewart, the guitarist, um, hit me up asking if I could go on a tour with her band because they booked a tour. Bassist and guitarist just said we're not going to go. We can't do it. So me and Eric were going to fill in for that tour. And I thought, I'm home for the summer. It'd be fun,
Yeah.
just go out, go on a tour. Um, Things ended up going south with their drummer. So Eric was like, hey, I know this guy. And it turned out to be Kevin, our drummer. And he could come play drums for us probably. So he called him. And Kevin was like, yeah, totally, I'll do it. And Matt, our other guitarist, was in Eric's band at the time. So he was like, well, if everybody's doing it, like, well, let's call Matt. Let's have Matt come too. And we ended up, I want to say it was a month or a month and a half before the tour. We got together and we wrote a brand new 7-song set of entirely new music. And so we were Skyline Summer on that tour. But like the singer and the keyboard player were the only original members left. It was all brand new music. So we came home, did a little bit of rebranding, I guess. And yeah, that's how we became Makari.
Nice. I've been listening to you guys. I want to say 2 years now, maybe. I really liked Hyperreal. It was great. But Continuum was just amazing. How do you come up with the imagery for like the album cover? Like, do you guys just hire an artist and say this is what we're going for? Do you have like an image in mind? Because I love like the whole cube in the sand thing.
Yeah, so as far as the imagery for our stuff goes, whether it be merch designs, album covers, anything, I'm not a super visually minded person as far as that kind of stuff goes. So our drummer, Kevin, and his brother Matt, our guitarist, um, they always have these ideas. Like Kevin was telling me about, I'm thinking about a cube in the desert, and if you've noticed, there's a tiny little person. Well, it's like
Yeah,
a
like the
cyborg.
silhouette, right, in front of it.
Yeah, and it's like a little like half robot, half human thing. And he's telling me this idea, and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like, I'm sure it'll look cool, but it's hard for me to visualize stuff like that. So the two of them, and then obviously like we all see the edits come through as they're going, give our input as we have it. But yeah, we find an artist that we like that does cool stuff, and just hey, here's a basic idea what we've been thinking, and then honestly, it is with album covers several months of what do you guys think of this? Okay, we like this, this, and this. We don't like this, this, and this. And then just rinse and repeat.
That's pretty cool. I've always wondered how that. I've never asked anyone that, and I'm like, how does it go from an idea to the actual finished product? So that's really really cool. So
Yeah.
you had mentioned you guys had toured like way back when. Was that like what 2015, 16, or was it before then? I don't remember what you said.
Oh,
Like 2011.
that was so I graduated high school in 2010. That was 2011. Yeah,
Wow.
the
Yeah.
summer of 2011.
Have you guys gone on a lot of tours since then? I know you guys had a most recent tour, but we'll talk about that in a second. Have you been on like multiple tours throughout the years?
Yeah. So when we talk about like the lifespan of our band, so we went on that first tour. I would say we spent 4 years after that as a local band. We we did our recordings here and there. We did I think two EPs that if you can find them, check them out. It's just funny because it's like so young and just unpolished and kind of confused when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to the writing. But um, so yeah, we did that for multiple years. We went on a small stint with Hail the Sun. I want to say in 2015, somewhere in that ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then from 2015 on, we started to tour again. So, like let's say the first year we did two tours, and then we did the three tours the next year. And then once Andy joined, um, we took everything we could get.
Weren't you guys? I think you guys were at Warp Tour one year, right? I want to say 2018.
Yes. So actually, the day that we played at Warp Tour was the day Hyperreal came out.
Wow, look at that. How was playing at Warp Tour? Because I've been to a lot of Warp Tours, like from the crowd perspective, and being able to see all these different bands in the same place is amazing. How was it playing with all the different bands?
So it's a really cool idea, having all these different bands. You got, I mean, I don't even remember anymore. I want to say there were 6 or 7 stages going at one point in time. It was a blast. Unfortunately, when we played that day, it was just that day. We happened to be on a tour, and our
Oh,
manager at the time hooked it up because we were coming through, and instead of playing another show in Orlando on that day, we just got to play Warped Tour,
that's
which
awesome.
was awesome. Yeah, the timing of it all worked out beautifully, and it being the day that the album came out was just great. But we talked to a couple people who were on, like who were on that one, who have been on Warp Tours in general, and I hear that it's a rough tour, man. It's
Yeah.
it's just hot as can be for. I mean, hell, I think Warp Tour was like what 6 weeks long or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
And you're talking best case scenario, it's high 90s. Worst case, it's 110. Out west, it gets hot.
And it's all outside, so there's nowhere for you to like go inside and get cool. Because I imagine if you have like a trailer with you or something, it's gotta be hot, super hot in there too.
Yeah. So what I heard, actually from Shane in Hail the Sun,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's great if you have a bus where the generator's
Air
running and
conditioners.
the AC's
Yeah.
on, and you're just hanging out. But if you're like, if we were doing it at that time, we would have been in a 15 passenger van. We can't just run that engine all day
Right.
to keep
Especially
the
because you're
AC going.
driving to places with the car. You don't want to burn it out by staying
Yeah.
cool.
But
Sorry.
yeah, it was a great experience, and we kind of got like the perfect taste. We got to do it for the day, have a great time, and then I mean we were still on tour, so we still 5-6 hour drive the next day. But oh god, I give a lot of credit to people like Every Time I Die.
Yeah.
I think they missed 2 years of Warp Tour total.
Yep.
They're
I've definitely
mon-
seen them at multiple Warp Tours when I went. That's
yeah, the
incredible.
people who could keep doing that, absolutely incredible.
Now, you guys most recently went on tour with Adventure and Coletta, correct?
Yes.
And that tour just ended recently. You were telling me before the show you've only been home for 6 days, so I want to thank you very much for just getting off that and deciding to come here and talk to me. That's a big deal for me. I appreciate that. But how was working with those guys? I'm really good friends with PJ and Steven and Jeff and Adventure. I've hung out with them a bunch. But how is it for you guys going on tour with such good bands?
Oh, cool. I had no idea that you knew those boys. So we've been on tour with Adventure before.
Hmm.
Um, super, super nice guys. Andy actually did the vocal production on their new record, Pacifica. If
Oh
you
wow,
haven't heard it,
I
anybody
haven't.
listening, go check that out.
Absolutely.
Great, great record. Um, super fun dudes. Just, just a great bunch of guys.
They're hilarious. So one time I met them at a concert once to be like, oh, I've never heard you guys. This is cool. And then about a year or two later, they were like, hey, we're coming through the New York area. We need a place to crash. Does anybody have anywhere we could go sleep the night? And I was like, come to my house. I'm gonna get this big band at my house. And they're just a bunch of goofy guys.
Yeah, I always, uh, I always say they're like Fall of Troy, but without the crazy drug problems. They're just fun, grungy, goofy dudes.
Did you get to play any like weird venues or any like amazing over the top venues during this tour?
Um, Nothing like crazy, crazy. It was a lot of places we've been before. And I'm happy to see that post COVID, these places are still open and
Yeah,
they're still running
definitely.
shows. One place that was a standout in my mind currently is the place that we played in Deep Ellum. It's in Dallas, Texas. I'm
Okay.
drawing a blank on the name off the top of my head, but the walls behind the stage were this beautiful, colorful collage of just different images and stuff, and it was a really cool. It was a small, intimate room, just really cool decor. I really liked that place.
That sounds pretty awesome. Speaking of post-COVID, I did a little deep diving, and did you happen to go to Disney World back in April?
I did. I went to Disney World with my girlfriend for my birthday.
How was it like going after it reopened? Because I heard it was like a ghost town, or like there were so many measures in place, blah blah blah. Like from your experience, was it just like a normal day in Disney World, or was it like have you been before?
Yes. So growing up, I was actually born in New Jersey. So our yearly vacation was we would drive to Disney World. And then when my family moved to Florida, where I live now, I was in middle school. So, like my parents bought the annual passes. So I've been more times than I can count. But post COVID was, it was weird. It was like they cared about it, obviously. Masks, uh, the the seating in restaurants was like, you can sit at this table and then the table next to you has to stay empty, etc.
Right.
Um, the people who were attending Disney World did not care. Like there were, I would say probably 20 or 30 times where I would, we're like waiting in line to go on something. And I would have to turn around to the people behind me and be like, hey, I know we're all excited to go on the ride. Um, but I can almost feel your breath on my neck.
Get the fuck away from
Like,
me.
yeah, like I'm trying to be
Politely.
polite because like I don't want to go to Disney jail. But yeah, like, hey, do you understand how long 6 feet is? Like, what are you fucking doing? Because especially in April,
Hmm.
I was surprised we were even able to go.
Yeah. So, I'm not trying to talk bad about Florida, but I live in New York, and one of my friends moved down to Florida, so I went to visit her in April, and we hung out, and it seemed like nobody cared about like COVID like everyone's walking around without a mask on. It was like a complete different environment than New York.
Well, yeah, because like I said, I'm from New Jersey, so I have tons of family up there,
Hmm.
and from hearing from them, the Northeast took it very seriously. Granted, you guys got hit really hard as well. I mean, I say that like Florida's not getting crushed
Right.
by COVID. It's just that nobody here. I mean, I don't know about for you guys. I would say that our bars were closed for maybe 2.5, 3 weeks. And
Wow.
then everything's open, no masks. Because I mean, like, well, yeah, you have to wear a mask, but not if you're drinking, and it's
Oh,
like,
to take it down to put the.
y-
Okay, I
yeah.
see.
So it's like, okay, everybody's wearing a mask, but everybody's got it on their chin because they're standing at a bar, drinking, hanging out.
Right. It's just crazy to see how the different states handle things. Like I'm not trying to get all political or anything. It was just like a
Yeah.
shock that like so in New York for a while around that time you could only have like three people in a gas station convenience store at a time or like one person in a bank. Like there were super strict regulations and down there they were just like, "Hey, let's just go out and walk around and do whatever we want to do." It was just like a big I guess not culture shock, but a big shock to me that it was like that.
Yeah, especially, I mean, I guess culture shock would be the right terminology. It's you're where you're coming from, they're taking it very, very seriously. And I mean, here they just didn't. We all, me and the guys in the band and most of the people that I know took it very seriously. We all got our vaccines pretty much as soon as we were able to. I still wear a
Mhm.
mask at work. Like, it's just, it's crazy. It's crazy how
How the
yeah,
world
like the,
is.
yeah, exactly. Like, I'm trying to find
No, you're
the
okay.
words, but it's plain. Yeah, it's crazy how that works. How
Yes.
in just within our country, there's
Hmm.
so much deviation.
Yeah, I feel like some people just don't care. Like they're like, "Oh, if it's not happening to me, I don't see the problem." But Uh,
Yeah.
let's talk about something else, something not COVID related. What are some influences for you when you play music? And did you go to school for music? You went to college, right? For music?
Yeah. So I went to school to be a cellist. Um,
Nice.
growing up in Jersey, I'm not sure how it was in New York. How old are you, by the way?
I'm 30.
Okay, so same same age range.
Yeah, I graduated
Um,
school in '08.
oh, okay. See, okay, you're my older sister's age. Cool. Um, so in Jersey, when you went into fifth grade, you had two choices. You could be in band, or you could be in orchestra. And then when you went to middle school, you could choose to either continue to pursue either, whichever one you picked,
Hmm.
or you could not take the class. But in fifth grade, you had to play one or the other. So
Okay.
I, what I wanted to play was the upright bass, but you probably would not be able to tell from looking at me now. Um, I was somewhere in the ballpark of 4'7", 4'8" in 10th grade. I was a tiny, tiny guy until I was a junior in high school.
So you wouldn't have be able to
And
reach the base.
they wouldn't let me play it because like it's physically impossible for me to play that instrument. So they were like, you can play cello for now, and then when you go to middle school, play bass to your heart's content. I said, okay. Turns out, before I started sixth grade, we moved to Florida. Now in Florida, you don't get the opportunity to start playing an instrument until you're in seventh grade. So whole mess of shit went down, and I ended up being put in the eighth grade orchestra in sixth grade because I already knew how to play the cello. I'd
Right.
already done a year of private lessons. I've already done a year in school. Like, I'm not, it's very basic knowledge, but when other people are just starting to learn how to play it, and I've already got a year, puts me ahead. And, fast forward, my dad was a guitarist, so I started playing the guitar in high school, but when I got to senior year and it was time to decide what do you want to do, um, I thought about business. I'm very math minded. I just like math. I enjoy it. I understand it. I thought about business, finance, yada, yada, yada. And as I was doing the applications for that, I realized that doesn't really bring me joy in the long term.
Hmm.
So I started looking into, I mean, at that point, I was 18. I'd been playing the cello for 8 years. I was like, why don't I just go to school to play the cello? And so I did. I I got a full ride to a college in South Florida called Florida Gulf Coast University, and yeah, it was a great time. I will say the downside of going to school, because when I went, they had two programs. One was music performance, and one was music education. With a performance degree, which is what I went for, it means absolutely nothing. Because if I went to an audition to play in a symphony and somebody without a degree played better, they're going to get it.
Right.
So when I had the opportunity to start doing the band stuff and all that jazz, I realized that there was really no. I mean, I would have become a better cellist by staying there,
Hmm.
but it wasn't really gonna. It's not like finish your degree and then you just apply for a job and you get the job because you need that degree to get the job.
Right. That makes sense. What are
Mm.
some of your musical influences?
So personally, I listen to a lot of, I mean, I guess interestingly enough, bass-driven music.
Hmm.
So like, um, I listen to a lot of hip hop, listen to a lot of pop music. Um, I'm trying to think of like specific examples of like who I listen to, but I really just try to listen to a little bit of everything to kind of round out my mind, especially like when we're writing
Hmm.
for a record or something. Um, I try to just sometimes even listen to stuff that I don't think that I'm gonna like for the sole reason of it'll open your mind up a little bit more to the possibilities of like what you can do with music.
Right. I feel like
Um,
the more you appreciate music and the more you listen to music, the more genres you'll listen to discover other kinds of music to pull inspiration from, or even just to see how other people do it.
exactly. Like one of the things that I've really been focused on the last, I would say, 2 years, um, is just the way that a song is written. And that goes even as far as like I'm a huge Beethoven nerd. Like I love
I love classical music
Beethoven.
too. Yeah.
He is like the original. Like I was really big into metal when I was younger, and in my opinion, Beethoven is like you could put it on electric guitars in drop C. That's metal.
Yeah.
Like
No, I get
um
what you're saying completely.
yeah, but so just the way that songs are put together, the way that the parts accentuate the others. Like something that I took into, you mentioned Continuum earlier. When we were writing for that, I tried to pay close attention to is the part that I'm putting here elevating what we're doing?
So
Or
instead
is
of
it
just
just
adding to it, you want to make it better.
exact? Because if it's not, the cool thing about music is it's all just, I don't want to say formulaic because there's a like an emotional piece that needs to be in there. That's like the realism of it.
I feel like at the
But
heart of music is math, if you think about it.
oh exactly. It's I mean you could when you think about sheet music, you're basically charting something on a graph
Hmm.
that just other people know how to read. And but yeah, it's one of those things where like I would write a part, I would step away from it for a couple days, come back, and with that mindset of is this elevating what we're doing or is it just a piece that I've put here? And sometimes I'm like, okay, it's just a piece. But instead of becoming like as a younger musician, I would get frustrated by that or say, well, this is good enough or I like it. And
Right.
it's like, well, just write something else. Just try again. Come with a fresh mind, try again. And God, I'm trying to think of a specific example. Let Go is a great example. Um, those parts were painful for me to get. I would say that's probably what's on the record is probably the 40 or 50th thing that I wrote
Oh wow.
for that song. And it was so frustrating. And actually, our guitarist, Eric, we were in the studio together because we used to live together.
Mm.
And he ended up pushing me into the right direction. He gave me the idea for the rhythm of the verses. And then there it is.
I think that's a good way to segue into my next question. I like to ask everyone who's in a band that I have on this show this: what's the writing process from having an idea to finished song for you guys in Makari?
So it's a little different now. Um, realistically, what happens is our guitarists just write. Both of them write independently. And what'll happen is one of them they'll either come up with just a riff, like, hey, what do you guys think of this?
Hmm.
Or sometimes they show up with fully composed, and when I say fully composed, I mean like, hey, here's my verse idea, here's my chorus idea. And usually what would happen is Eric and myself would build structure of, he's got this riff and he's like, this, I like this riff. I want to use it for a chorus, use it for a bridge, I'm going to use it for a verse, whatever. And I think one of the things that makes us unique as a band in 2021 is the next step is everybody writes their own shit. Like sometimes we'll have input like, if I'm hearing a kick pattern in my head,
Hmm.
or Andy has this idea for how the drums should flow, we'll trigger out some drums, we'll send them to Kevin, but he never plays exactly what you send to him. He takes the gist of it and he makes it his own.
That's
And
incredible.
same thing with, like if somebody, I'm trying to think, maybe it was Labyrinth. Eric had written a bass part for it. And when I say written a bass part, I mean like, here are the notes that, I thought sounded good on the bass. And he sent it to me, and then I took that and made it, you know, in my own style, my own flair, pushing the chords where I want to. But yeah, our writing style is cool and it's enjoyable. It's fun because sometimes we'll just be at practice and somebody will be like, "Hey, I've been working on this," and then we'll just jam a full song out, just improv.
Wow. It's really cool how to see how or excuse me, to see how other musicians go about their writing processes and stuff. Because I used to make a bunch of dubstep back in the day on like Ableton and Fruity Loops and stuff, and it's a lot of work to be able to come from an idea to make a song or finished product. So that's really cool that you guys all like do your own thing, but work off of each other and are able to make such like cohesive music. What
Yeah, I didn't.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you're fine.
I was gonna ask another question, but you can give me whatever you were gonna say, and then I'll ask my question.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna say that's cool that you use Ableton. Years ago I got a demo version of Ableton from a guy at Sam Ash, and I messed with it for a while, and then um, ended up buying Pro Tools. So I never really got into it, but I know that Ableton, and specifically Ableton and Fruity Loops,
Hmm.
is like a great workstation. Like you can make some
Yes.
really cool shit.
I like it a lot. It was hard to learn at first because I literally illegally downloaded it, and I was like, I'm gonna be the next big dubstep producer, and I had no idea what I was doing. But after watching some YouTube videos and trial and error, once you get it, you can create some really interesting pieces of music. What do you like to do in your free time besides making music and playing bass? What do you like to do for fun?
Um, so I have four things that occupy my time outside of Makari and being a bass player. Um, I am a chef,
Oh, nice.
so cooking, anything food related, love it. Cannot get enough of it. I actually, when we're home from tour, I work as a technically as a cook now, but
Hmm.
it gives me the freedom to be able to leave when I need to for tour. And it really is like if I was to say I had a second calling or another passion besides music, it would be food.
That's
Um,
awesome.
so I do that. I love the outdoors. Um, there's a lot of really great preserves around the state of Florida, And I actually have a really good friend that I met in college who is a park ranger. So he moves around the state, goes to different places and parks. And so I'll always try and like go link up with him wherever he's working. And he'll take me on tours. We went through the Everglades a couple years ago. He was down there working at a park. And that is just a bizarre place. It is almost otherworldly
Yeah, I
down
can
there.
imagine.
Other than that, um, it's not really different from music, but it's not as a bassist. I make my own music. I make a lot of like electronic style beats, and recently I started composing um, classical music.
That's awesome.
Um, yeah, I just finished the first movement of my of a piano sonata, so that's pretty cool. I just enjoy. It's cool to do music with the band, and I love all the guys, and I love what we make. But it's also cool to do something on your own and just, in a way, like I get lost in it. And it doesn't matter where I'm going. I don't have to worry about, is this good enough for release? It's just
Like a passion project.
exactly. And wherever my emotions take me, because I'm a very emotional writer,
Mm-hmm.
wherever I happen to drift throughout the course of this is is where I'm going, and I love it. It's a really fun time.
That's awesome. I got two final questions for you here, and then we're gonna end. First one is, being a chef, what is your favorite dish to make?
Ooh, that's a really good question.
Thank you.
Um, so favorite dish to make. I'm gonna go with risotto.
Ooh, I love risotto.
Yeah, and it's so versatile.
You can do a lot of things
You
with
could
it.
yeah, exactly. You can make it sweet. You can make it spicy. You can make it savory. Whatever your heart desires, you can make it happen. I actually just this afternoon, I was at work and I made risotto. We're running a special next week, one of my recipes, and so yeah, I made 10 pounds of risotto this afternoon.
That's awesome. Yeah, risotto is really good. I've had like cheesy risotto with chicken. I've had like a sweeter, creamy apple risotto before. Like, it's so crazy what, like, just like with music, you can make so many different genres of music with the same like kind of, chord structure or piece. You can make so many different flavors with the same like base food. Does that make sense?
Exactly. Yep. It's you're learning the. I mean, you said it best. I think it's the base of it.
Yeah.
So you learn how to do that, and then you can apply it anywhere.
Yeah, one final question here. I actually just thought of this today, and I want to, going forward, ask everyone on my podcast this. My favorite thing to eat are sandwiches. I don't know why. I just have always loved a good sandwich. What's your ideal sandwich? No holds barred, anything, put anything you want on it. What would be your best sandwich?
Okay, so my best sandwich, favorite of all time, would have to be uh I mean, I guess it's just a panini. But
Okay.
basically like what it is a caprese sandwich.
Yes.
So that plus um capicola.
Oh, I love capicola so much. That's
I
the
know.
Italian in me speaking, but I love capicola.
I know it is so oh my god.
I don't think I've
And
ever
just
had
the
it on a sandwich though. I always have it like rolled up with cheese or something or cracker. That sounds really good.
yeah, growing up we used to have it my mom would cut honeydew melon and she would wrap it
Ooh,
in capicola.
that sounds amazing. Did
Oh
you
yeah.
have any questions for me? It's okay if you don't. I figured I'd give you the floor for a minute if you have any.
I interestingly enough, I got one for you. What
Go for it.
made you want to do this? To
Like to make the podcast and everything.
Yeah, and what brought you here?
All right, that's actually a good question. No one's ever asked me that before. So I've worked every job you could think of in my life. Well, not every, but like I was a plumber. I did internet repair. I've worked, been a manager at a pharmacy. I worked at a grocery store, and I've done retail. I've done everything, and I never really was happy with it. It was just okay. I need to eat, so I need to work. And then when the pandemic happened, I got laid off from my job because they quote unquote overhired before. Pretty much what happened was I was
Mm.
working at a Sam's Club, and not trying to talk bad about Sam's Club, but Sam's Club really fucked me over. They hired me. So when did the pandemic start? Would you say like May of 2020, maybe,
Um,
or like April ish?
yeah, I
Because I remember
I
in
think
May.
here our lockdown was March.
Yeah, yeah, March. That's what I meant, not May. I got my months wrong. That's about when everybody started panic buying everything at the grocery store. So I got hired there in February. I worked there until April. During the whole rush of everybody buying toilet paper and buying all the food and stuff, they closed the car department. Like there was a department that would change your tires and do stuff like that. And all those people had been working there for like 10 years at that point. And then they also closed they had like a little cafeteria we could buy pizza and hot dogs and stuff. They closed that, and they gave all of those people, instead of letting them go, they gave them all cashier jobs for like the interim. And they had just had a
Um,
hiring event in February where they hired like 20 people, and they're like, we don't have other departments open, it's seniority rules, so we have to let you go. And then from there I was like, I'm getting unemployment, but what am I going to do? So I fiddled around with Twitch because I love video games. I've been playing video games since I was like 5. And
mhm.
just playing video games on Twitch, I don't get a lot of viewers because it's hard to like grow your viewer base. And one thing I'm really, really passionate about is that music. And I feel like I have a lot of great ideas in my head, and I'm able to get them out cohesively and speak with people in such a manner that it's not boring or not me fumbling over my words. So I want to say maybe 2 weeks ago, I was like, I'm just going to ask everyone I know that's in a band on Facebook if they'd like to do a podcast. And it pretty much just started with that. And this is the fourth episode, I think. And I know, like, being like the time frame, a lot of people are on tour and they're busy, but I just like talking to people and figuring out how they work, how their music works, what they do, just get to know them. And I think that's how I started. Just an idea, hey, I can talk to people and I'm good at it. So let me just try doing this.
Nice. Okay, so you mentioned being into video games. What
Yes.
kind of stuff do you play? Because I am also pretty avid video gamer.
So I've been playing this game called League of Legends for 11 years now. I sometimes
Okay.
stream that. I've kind of grown away from it because it's super toxic. Like the fan base and everything, people like curse you out
Yeah.
for no reason. But that's not like the main reason. I don't know. I just started getting a little bored of it. I like to play Dark Souls 3. One of the things I do on my channel is called Drunk Souls. I will get like a beer or a twisted tea or something, and every time I die, I have to take a sip because I originally was gonna do it with shots, and I was like, no, that's dangerous. I'm gonna get alcohol poisoning.
Yeah.
But yeah, I play Dark Souls 3. One of my favorite games right now. It's called The Binding of Isaac Repentance. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I have not.
So it's kind of like a old school Legend of Zelda kind of game. It's a roguelike. The story is the guy who made the game grew up in a religious household, and his parents were like super like Bible thumper, like overly shoving things down his throat. So the story is like Isaac's mother hears the voice of God tell her that she needs to kill her son for a sacrifice in order to show her devotion for him. So you play as the little naked boy who jumps in the basement to try to run away from his mom, and you shoot tears like he's crying. So your like weapon is you shoot out little tear balls, and you fight things like a piece of meat that's jumping around or like a poop monster. And as it progresses, you'll fight the devil or you'll fight an angel, and it's really interesting. And it's a roguelike, so I don't know if you know what that means. It's every time you play the game, you're gonna have a different map layout for your level. You're gonna find different items that will give you different power ups and stuff. Like no two runs, no two gameplays are the same.
That's cool. I actually just had my first introduction with roguelike. I played a roguelike survival game on Steam called Muck.
Okay,
I don't
I've
know if
heard
you've
of
ever
that.
heard of it.
Yes, I never played it
Um,
though.
it's horrific. Don't play it. Save yourself the save yourself the time and the struggle. It is, think of like Minecraft, but just an absolute night.
Oof. All right, don't play Muck, everybody. You
Um,
heard him.
yeah. Don't, if you like being frustrated, play Muck. I played it for like 2 weeks. I can't do it again. But I did just recently start playing. I've never played Bloodborne. I've never played
Oh my
Dark Souls.
God.
Never played Demon Souls. I just like 4 days ago, I got Dark Souls 1 because actually Andy Sizik was like, "You haven't played Dark Souls? Play Dark Souls. Play Dark Souls right now." So I assume if you're playing three, you've played all of them.
Yes, I've played one, two, and now I have three. I've just started playing it like a month or two ago. I haven't gotten back to it because I've been broke and not able to buy alcohol. And I know I can just play the game and stream it, but like I feel like my viewers are looking for that extra, little cherry on top of, oh, he's gonna die a lot, so let's see him get drunk. And I don't know, but I'm definitely gonna go back to that soon. My favorite out of all of them is Bloodborne. It's the only one I don't own because I don't have a PS4, but I love the aesthetic, like the horror, the creepiness. It's got like real HP Lovecraft vibes. Like I don't know if you're into like cosmic horror or anything, but it starts out as like a monster game and it turns into like an alien game. Like it's incredible.
Interesting, because I'm really into like survival horror.
Yeah,
That's my niche. Like
like Resident
Resident
Evil.
Evil, Silent Hill, Evil Within.
Oh, that
Oh my
game is so
god,
hard.
I oh my god, it is.
Well,
I think the Evil Within was the most frustrating survival horror game I've ever played.
I have
Because
Evil
Resident
Within
Evils are.
2. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, no, no.
No,
You
you're fine.
you go. I was just saying I've only played the second one and I hate in the beginning when you don't have any weapons and someone's chasing you, you got to run away. Like it was super frustrating.
Oh, see, I went through a period of time where I was working a really shitty job. I
Hmm.
didn't have any money, so I've never played the second one. I only played the first one.
It's hard. I never beat it.
But yeah, like Resident Evil, I love that game so much. I've
Me too.
played almost all of them. I think I skipped two, 6 and 7.
6 and 7
But
are
yeah,
different. 6 is not good at all. 7 is good, but it's like a different game because it's all first person.
well, yeah, and 7 is the one where it's like that mold, right? You're
Yes.
in the bayou, and it's that, yeah. So I don't know if you've played 8, but
I beat 8.
8 is,
8 is incredible.
yeah, 8 is just an unbelievable game, and surprisingly short. I thought for a Resident Evil game.
Yeah, I feel like so the my problem with 8, I loved the game. I'm not saying anything bad about the game, but I don't like how the marketing was all about Lady D and her castle, and you're only there for
Yeah.
like a quarter of the game.
So apparently, the plan is that your DLC is going to be a lot of her. But I know
Oh,
what you mean. It was very short lived, and honestly, she was pretty easy to kill. Like,
yeah, when she's flying around with the sniper rifle, that part.
hmm yeah, I thought because I mean, I've like I said, I've played tons of them. Like I remember playing Resident Evil 4, and every boss took me between 20 and 100 tries.
Yeah, especially I think his name's the really tall guy in the overcoat that never talks. When he turns into like when you're in the burning barn with him, and he turns into the Las Plagas monster, and he's like swinging around and stuff. That took me forever to try to beat.
Oh my god, I memorized the cutscene going into that because I had to play it so many damn times.
I think 4 is the best one out of all of them. That's definitely my favorite.
Agreed.
I
I will say though, the remaster of 2 is just impeccable.
I have not
And
played that one yet. I'll have to check it out.
Oh my god. And it's really cool because I don't know how familiar you are with 2, but
Yeah, I played it
it's
back when it came out.
Claire. Oh, okay. So yeah, it's Claire and Leon, and in the remaster, you get to do both of their storylines. So I think
Oh,
total, I ended up playing the game for like 40 hours.
because then you have also they give you the option to start A or B. It's like Claire A or Claire B. Like there's a subtle difference when you pick the B path or whatever.
Yes, and just a great game.
I
It was
remember. No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say the puzzles were difficult, but not difficult enough to where, because I don't know how you work, but like if I hit a snag too hard in a game, I pop on my phone. I go right to Google.
Yeah, I feel that.
But so with 2, I didn't I didn't feel the need to do that. If I was
Right.
having trouble, I just kind of take a breather, think about it, work your way through it.
So I played 2 when it first came out back in 1990, whatever. I was 7 years old, and we didn't have like Google, to be able to look stuff up. So you
Yeah.
kind of had to trial and error it. I remember the only one that gave me the hardest time was the chess puzzle. You have to like find all the chess pieces and then put them in. I could not for the life of me find one of them. I don't know, but being 7 years old, I wasn't really exposed to horror stuff. Like, my dad's a pastor, my mom was a science teacher. It wasn't common to watch horror movies or for anything scary, to be around. They just wanted, us to be happy and sunshine and stuff. So I went over a friend's house who his parents were divorced, so he kind of got like the run of the land. Like I don't know, he was just like the cool kid in my eyes. And he's like, "Yo, I got this game, Resident Evil. You want to come play it? Resident Evil 2." And I saw the cover and I was like, "Oh, this is kind of scary. I don't know anything like this. Yeah, let's try it." And I had nightmares for like a week because the scene where Claire is going to save Sherry and the alligator pops out at the screen and you have to fight the giant alligator. You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're
Yeah,
talking about.
I'm here sitting close to the screen trying to watch because this is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life, and this giant alligator pops out, and I just lost it. So that was during, I want to say, like October, November. That summer we had just went to Florida to go to Disney World to visit my grandparents, and there was an alligator underneath our car in the Walmart parking lot. We had to call the cops to come get it removed. So after that situation and then the giant alligator, I was done with scary stuff for a while, and now
Just
I love it.
mortified.
But yeah, the 7-year-old kid like peeing his pants, crying, having to go home from your friend's house because uh, a pixelated alligator popped out on the screen. I just thought that was really funny.
It's funny you say that. When I was growing up, the first horror game I ever came across was the first Resident Evil, and it was like, my family was pretty similar in the sense of like, you know, I mean, God, I had to be like 6 or 7 at the time. And so my dad had been playing it, and he was supposed to like take the game out of the PlayStation, put it somewhere else,
Hmm.
and I found it, and I was like, "Oh, I want to play this." And there's a scene where it's like just in the beginning, you're walking down a hallway, and as you pass the
Oh,
windows,
the arms come through,
um,
right?
the dogs.
Oh, okay.
So I walk past the window, the dog comes through, and exactly what you're talking about. Like, I'm traumatized. Now I see a dog, and I think that's what's. I walk past a window, like, I'm afraid to go.
Yeah, no, I get that 100%. Horror games are the best kind of games, though. Like, I like all other kinds of games, but I love being scared. I don't know what it is, just like the thrill, the rush of like something that could get you, but it's not because it's fake. But being in that mindset that, oh, I could die, right? I don't know. It's just a cool
Yeah.
feeling.
I will say the one stipulation that I have with survival horror is I like Resident Evil, Silent Hill, like where it's weapon based. You
Hmm.
start talking about Amnesia or oh shit, what's the one where you're in the insane asylum and you have the video
Outlast.
camera? Dude, I played like 15 minutes of Outlast. I turned it off, never went back.
That game is very scary. I did beat the first one, but that
Really?
I felt like a little girl the whole time because you can't. I think what makes that game different from something like Resident Evil is the fact that you can't fight back. So you have to find a way out of your situation. Like I understand the not wanting to play if you can't fight, but just like the sense of dread that if something comes to get me, I'm screwed. I need to hide. Like I think that's pretty cool. But I get where you're coming from that like it's not the same.
Yeah, and it's not from a sense of like I think there's something wrong with the game. Like it's an amazing technique because like you said the sense of dread that's real. Like you
Right.
feel that when you run away from something or like I was playing Amnesia and like you run away and you turn your lantern off and you're just listening in
In the
your
dark,
headset
yeah.
because you're like, okay, are they coming closer? And you're like, okay, well, I think it's gone. And then all of a sudden you hear like a screech or something, and it's like in front of you. Like I I don't like jump scares. I don't like that at all. Like I don't know if you've ever played Layers of Fear.
I have not.
That is like a psychological horror game. It is amazing. If you get the opportunity, absolutely play it. But it's the same kind of vein. Like you don't have any weapons, and basically what's happening is the character you are is losing sanity. So like you go into a room, you do something, you turn around, and now the room that was outside is gone. You're in a completely different place.
That sounds really cool.
It was a great game. Very short. Actually, Andy and I played it. I want to say it was like through and through, like I don't know, 6.5 hours. We just we bought a bottle of whiskey and sat down and just played straight through it, lights off, and just played through the whole game.
That's the best playing horror
But it was,
games with the lights off. You gotta like make the
I know.
atmosphere.
Like after I beat Resident Evil 8, I went back and played it again, and I only played it at night. I only played it with the lights off, and I only played it in my headphones to
Yeah.
really get the experience.
Have you ever played any horror games with a VR headset, or have you ever played any games with a VR headset?
So I have, and I have really bad motion sickness.
Okay.
Like, so there's like and I don't know anymore. I haven't tried one since I want to say it was it the PS3 that was the first one they unveiled it with, or was that
I
early
think it was
PS4?
the PS4 when it first came out, because they had the motion controllers, and then there were
Yeah,
like the PS whatever headset. Yeah, I think it was 4.
yeah. So I actually played the wow, what the fuck is that game called? It's made by the guy who made Rick and Morty.
Dan Harmon
It was, I think so.
or Justin
It was
Roiland.
one of those guys. They made it. I want to say it was called like Into the Multiverse or something. But it was basically, it was a very plain game, and it was really early on in the VR technology. So it was basically like when you go into a room, you can't walk. You can just look around and interact
Oh, okay.
from there. But the visuals were really blurry, and as I moved my head around, it like I could only play it for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I get that. I have motion sickness sometimes. There's a game called Mirror's Edge where you're like a parkour girl trying to run away from stuff, but it's all first person. I played 5 minutes of that game and I threw up and I could not play it again. But going back to VR, like you know how you're saying turn the lights off and like put your headphones on, immerse yourself in that experience. My first, like the first time I tried a VR thing, it was literally my ex-wife's brother got this little thing, like it looked like goggles, and you put your phone inside of it, and your phone would act as the VR. And I played that, and it was, whatever, not that scary. It's, you're staring at a phone screen. But then my friend got like the Oculus Rift, I think it was called, like the actual $300 VR headset, and there was this game where, excuse me, you start out as a guy in an apartment, and it's as the zombie apocalypse is starting to happen. Like he's watching news, and all of a sudden the news cuts, and it's like, there's breaking news, there's an outbreak, blah blah blah, stay inside. And I think like he orders a pizza, or he has a roommate or something, because at some point, you're able to walk around and see his whole bedroom. It's like a dark, stormy night, and then you open a door, and the zombie roommate or pizza guy, whatever, pops out at you, and you have to like use your hands to like pick up a knife and stab him. And if you don't hold the button to hold the knife, if you just hold the controller, like you're gonna drop it. And it was scary because I kept picking up the knife. I'm like, all right, I'll stab this zombie when it comes to me. And then you drop it, and you're like, oh no, I gotta pick it up before he gets to me. He's gonna bite me. Like it felt real. Like I know I'm in a VR headset and it's just a game and it's everything, but the feeling you get from being so immersed in something is incredible.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I mean, you're 30, so I'm sure one of the first consoles you probably had was like Super Nintendo.
That's exactly my first console. I had Super Nintendo, I had Street Fighter 2, Super Mario World, and Home Alone 2. Those are my games
Just
back in the day.
thinking about the difference in between what you just described to me and that, like
Right?
the immersion is just unreal. I'm actually gonna have to look into that because even just to experience it. I mean, if you have motion sickness too, so the Oculus Rift, like
So
I've heard about it,
yeah,
but
so inside there's two separate, I want to say lenses or like cameras for each eye. And when you put it on, you can adjust the length of where they are, and both of them will come together to give you one clear picture. So unless you're like sitting there and
oh
spinning around, standing in place, you're not really going to get that sickness feeling. At least I didn't. But
yeah, because the PlayStation One, there was no adjustment. I want to say maybe there was one like a roller,
right.
and it's like yeah, it's only gonna go so clear.
Mhm. I think that's when VR technology first came out, and just to see how far it's advanced, how far any technology has advanced in the last 5 or 10 years is just incredible.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, they have those. It's like laser tag arenas,
Hmm.
but you put on a VR headset, and now it's like like a zombie thing.
They have
It's
these vests that you put on for when you're playing like shooting games, or when your character gets shot, you can feel it in the vest, like it'll vibrate and like push against you and stuff. Like it's pretty much they're making it to the point of you actually going out and do something, but having to just sit in your home and not go out. You know what I mean?
yeah. I this was a couple years ago, and I'm sure that this technology is really far from hitting like people's homes. But I remember seeing a guy who was wearing a vest like you're talking about, and there's a 360-degree treadmill underneath.
I've actually used one of those
And so,
before.
really,
I was in the military for a short while. I was in the Army National Guard, and one of the things we did to train on, like we had drills where like they'd have an empty building, you go and you clear the room in real time, but you can't do that always because other squads got to train in that room, that building. So we would go into this place. They would have the thing you're describing and be like a big circle with like a treadmill on it. You'd go in, you'd put on all the like knee pads and arm pads, and they'd all have like haptic feedback, I believe it's called, like the thing that makes you feel. And then you would look at the screen, because that was before they had like VR stuff. But you would look at the screen, and you would have like an airsoft rifle or even a real rifle that they rigged to be like oh, like able to put electrical inputs when you like shot it, when you reloaded it and stuff. And they would have us train on that, like go through a building and find the terrorists and shoot them and stuff. It was incredible.
that is insane.
And I can't that was, I want to say, 2014, so I can't imagine what the technology is like now, years later.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's wild.
What do you enjoy watching TV shows besides playing video games?
So I do. I'm a creature of habit when it comes to my television shows.
Mm.
Um, Family Guy, American Dad, South Park. It's Always Sunny.
Oh, it's Always
Um,
Sunny's great.
oh my God, it's so funny. Sometimes I can't watch it because it's very yelly,
Yeah.
but it's something about. I really think what keeps me coming back is Charlie.
Yeah. My favorite episode is Flowers for Charlie, where everybody thinks he's super smart, and then you find out they're just like doing some weird experiment on him to make him think he's smart.
Yeah,
Or the bar scene where it's all in one shot of him trying to make everything good for the inspector. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. He's running around like a crazy person.
Or the drinking one where they have to the Wade's Boggs they have to drink on the plane and then he hits a home run afterwards.
Yeah. I don't
Um,
know, the musical one is pretty funny too.
yeah, there's a lot of good episodes of that show. Did you know that show started on like a super small budget? Like the intro is literally them in a camera filming like the thing go by, and I read an article about it. Like somehow they got Danny DeVito, and then when he came, it like took off. Like not just because of him, but people recognized the name, and now it's like one of the most watched shows on television.
Yeah, I mean, because to be honest with you, I knew it was out. I knew when it was on, and I didn't watch it for like 2 or 3 years. And then just on a whim, I think I was watching, I think it was on Comedy Central back then. And it just like came on after I was watching something else. And I just was like, you know what? See these commercials all the time. Let's see what it's about.
Hmm.
And it's such a great show. So funny. And
Have
they're
you?
so toxic and just terrible to each other.
Serious. Like when they beat up the kids for taking the bike, or like they always are calling Dee a bird and they're always being so mean to her, she's still their friend.
Yeah, I know. The fact that none of them know what the waitress's name is, like,
Yeah. I think she's married to Charlie in real life,
hmm
which I think
and
is really funny.
Dee and Mac
Yep.
are married in real life. So weird.
It's crazy to think about how well they act versus them in real life because I've seen I don't know Mac's real name. I know it, but not off the top of my head right now that I want to say it. But I've seen
Yeah,
him like on Instagram and stuff. I think isn't it like Rob McDowell or something like that?
I I think so.
But like they're not the same people that they portray, and I give like actors are I think incredible that they can be another person, like that, and
Yeah.
it's not like how they are in real life. But that's just amazing to me. Have you seen Squid Game on Netflix yet, by any chance?
Okay, so I just heard about Squid Game last night.
Okay.
Didn't hadn't heard a drop about it. I watched um I mean I guess it's the trailer
Hmm.
and I don't know how many episodes are out. I
It's
don't know
all out.
anything other
The whole
oh, the
first
whole thing
season.
is out.
Yeah, I want to say it's 8 episodes, but it might be 6, it might be 10, but it's not a lot.
But it's like I'm trying to think of the word. Like it's not like it's going to end with a cliffhanger and you got to wait 8 months for season two. Like, is it all inclusive?
Yes and no. It ends on a way that they could do a season 2, but it ends with you. I don't want to spoil it. It's an
I just mean like
incredible show.
because I've heard great things,
Each
and
episode ends
also
on a cliffhanger. I can tell you that much.
oh, that's fine. That I have no problem with that because I'll sit down and watch. I mean, for example, I'm off tomorrow and Tuesday, so chances are by Wednesday I'll have seen it all.
Yeah, I highly
'Cause it,
suggest it. It's I don't know if you know much about it, but it's pretty much a guy's has gambling problems, and then like his loan sharks come find him, and they're like, "Oh, you owe us this much money, or we're gonna kill you." And then someone's like, "Oh, if you just play this simple kids game with me, I'll give you money." So he plays the kid's game, and then he loses the first time, and he's like, well, I don't have the money to give you back. And the guy who offered him the game, he's like, oh no, I'm just gonna slap you in the face once if you lose. You don't have to pay me money, but if you win, I'll give you money. So he slaps him in the face, he gives him the money, and the guy's like, oh yeah, I won all this money. And he's like, if you really want to win some money, here's a business card, give this number a call. And then it turns into this whole other thing. I won't go any more into it, but
Oh, and that's because I saw I don't know if anybody listening hasn't seen the trailer, but I'm sorry, spoiler alert.
spoiler warning.
um, um, I saw the trailer, so I saw the whole like. I didn't know how he got there
Hmm.
necessarily, but here's the game. You can leave the game, but we can't tell you anything about it yet. And then once you decide to play, you have to play.
Yes.
And it just looks, I mean, not Saw-esque necessarily, but Saw-esque.
So
Like,
all of the games they play in it, except for one of them, are all like I think it's Korean, so I would say like Korean children's games, but like
well,
with a
yeah, because
twist.
the trailer that I saw was there's two lines drawn on a field, and all you have to do is run to the other side without getting caught.
Yeah, red light, green light.
Exactly. Oh, it's just that the stakes are
If you get caught,
so
you
high.
die.
Yes. Oh my God.
So the
Oh, what an
basic premise.
interesting.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, what an interesting concept. Because in the trailer I saw, they didn't describe that the game they were playing was red light, green light. It was
Yeah.
just get from here to here. But it's literally, they've modified children's games. And, like we were saying, the stakes are now life or death.
So how it works is I think they have like 200 people or 400, some big amount of people, and as people get eliminated, the prize pool goes up. So
Oh,
so
so if
you
all
want the other
400
people.
survived, you all get money.
Right. And also at any point during the game, if a majority of the people decide they want to stop playing, then everyone has to stop playing.
Oh, shit.
But then you get no money. Yeah, it's an incredible show. I don't want to spoil anything for you. Like I feel like I've told you a lot, but I highly suggest watching it because like a big thing is Korean shows and like Eastern shows aren't really prevalent in our culture. Not until like I mean anime. Like everybody watches, not everybody. A lot of people are into anime, but
Yeah.
like just being like I'm surprised that Squid Game is the number one show on Netflix right now because like before you had the movie Parasite. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but that was like the first like breakthrough Korean film to come over here and be successful. And it's just great
Mhm.
to see other cultures being explored because they have so much great content. Like I watch a lot of old, so like have you ever seen the movie Old Boy?
No.
It's about a guy who kind of they capture him and then he wakes up and he has to like fight his way through this whole thing to get his daughter, and it's this whole thing, but like it's an incredible movie and not a lot of people have even heard of it or seen it because it's from overseas. And I'm not saying it's like they hate Asian people kind of thing. It's like we're not exposed to that kind of content.
Well, yeah, the influx of our media is not pushing Eastern shit.
Exactly.
It's pushing the new Marvel movie, which nothing against Marvel. It's just,
Oh, I love
that's what
Marvel so
gets.
much. I could talk about that for hours and hours, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming here. We've actually been talking for like an hour and 15 minutes. I think this is the longest podcast I've done, but I had a really, really great time picking your brain and just talking about stuff. And that's what I like about this podcast is it's not just, oh, you're in a band, we got to talk about your band. It's like, no, like I want to get to know you as a person and what do you like? And you know what I mean?
Yeah. And just kind of, the way that I see this kind of stuff is like, we're just shooting the shit. I
Exactly.
appreciate you asking about the band, and I love talking about it. But, I'm not a I'm a multifaceted human being, and I appreciate, getting to
Exactly.
talk about some other stuff.
You're not just the bassist in Makari. You're John.
Exactly.
So where can we find you? Do you have anything you want to shout out? Do you have any upcoming stuff you can talk about? Or like if someone wants to know more about Makari or listen to your music, where can they find you guys?
Okay, so you want to keep up with Makari. We talked about the skincare company before. So we are Makari Band. You look us up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, anywhere you want to find us. Makari Band.
I didn't know you
One
guys were on
word.
TikTok. I'll have to follow you now.
Yeah. I don't know that we post a lot on there, but we're there.
Yeah.
um, so yeah, you can find the band anywhere there. As far as things coming up, I can tell you things are working. We pride ourselves on our work ethic. We're always working on the next thing. Like by the time that Continuum came out, we were already working on the next thing.
Wow,
There's
that's
always stuff
always
in the
amazing to
pipeline.
hear.
Yeah, because I mean, you see so many bands that lose steam.
Mm-hmm.
So we're always very very about, okay, we did what we want to do. We're happy with what we did. Let's do the next thing.
Yeah. How can we push this? What else can we do?
Exactly.
Nice.
You want to keep up with me? Um, Either John Tomasso if you're on Facebook and you want to shout me out there. Um, Everything else, I am Jay Makari. Jay Makari. You
For
find me on
everyone.
Discord.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, you're fine.
I was.
Discord, Instagram, bullshit. Um, I sell beats. More than happy to make you whatever you want. You want some classical music? I got you on that.
Nice. So for everyone watching this on Twitch, I can't like put a link anywhere, but for when this finally goes up on YouTube, I'll have links to everything he just mentioned in the description for you guys, so you can go ahead and see it.
Cool. Thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate
no
that.
problem. I'm just gonna ask you to stick around for 1 minute after I end the stream, just so I could go over a few things. But for everybody else who tuned in, thank you so much for watching, and I appreciate you all coming here. All right, everybody. Have a great night and tune in tomorrow. I think I'm gonna get back on Dark Souls and we're gonna play that. That should be around 5 p.m. Eastern time. All right. Have a great night.